it's a huge deal for investors and specifically short-term rental investors because of that loophole. It allows average investors, W-2 employees who don't qualify as real estate professionals, it allows them to qualify as a material participant in those properties and take 100% bonus depreciation. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and we're back with our Whiskey Wednesday episode with Mr. Dave Sivulich. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
Ready to go?
I'm ready to
Did you
go.
have a good weekend?
Had a great weekend,
Good weekend. Off to a good start for this week.
Yeah.
Old Whiskey Wednesday. You guys, we do shows within the show on Wednesdays. We do, Dave and I and Jake sit in here in the studio and we talk about kind of trending topics, some things that are going on in the short-term rental world, and then questions that you guys send in. So as a reminder, always send in those questions to support@odyssey.com. We'll make sure that we answer them on an upcoming episode. And then we do Experts Corner on Fridays, where we bring in experts from all different industries, not just the short-term rental industry, to learn about how to continue to get better, continue to maximize, continue to raise the bar. But today, we're going to talk about some trending topics and questions.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. What do we got today?
So this weekend, you had a pretty hard working weekend. I had kind of a take it easy. I mean, I don't know.
You were kind of a road warrior this weekend.
I was all over the place. So I spent Friday night, my son had a basketball game in the middle of Utah. We took off after the game. We drove to southern Utah, spent the night, headed to Vegas to watch my daughter play soccer at UNLV. And then, we went to the last minute, like it's 7:45, bought 2 tickets online for the Eagles at the Sphere.
First time in that? First time in the Sphere? I've seen the outside of it.
It was awesome.
It looks crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. The outside is amazing. And then when you get inside, it is giant. I mean, I think there's like holds 17,000 people. And the Eagles, the iconic, amazing band that we grew up, in the 80s and 90s. And like, dude, they were awesome. Don Henley was there. On residency with them is Vince Gill, which we're huge country fans, so we love that. I mean, every song they sang was just amazing, and the graphics and the experience. So anybody that's like thinking about doing that, like it's well worth the money. Like you have to do it. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to do it, and the Eagles would be fun. Oh. How long are they there for the residency?
I don't know. This was their 25th show, so I'm assuming. Maybe, I mean, sometimes they do a month or 2. I don't know how long they do, but yeah, I mean, but like that was awesome. Like there would be some good bands to go to and stuff, but like, the Eagles is one of those, like, almost every song they sing,
Yeah.
And they're just so iconic and just so fun. But anyways, and we stayed at a place where we could actually walk to it. So we didn't have to fuss with the traffic, and the weather was nice. And so,
That's good. Good weekend then.
So good weekend, came home.
Had a little basketball tournament. You had soccer, go to the Eagles, travel back home.
A little tired. A little tired today.
You were feeling it today?
Yeah.
We showed up at the office and the power was off. And you were like, you were just hoping that you could go in your office and take a nap.
Yeah, I was about ready to turn around.
You were ready for the nap early on.
Those freaking power guys were more efficient than we thought. Came back on a few minutes later.
You were disappointed. I saw the lights flick on, and you just took the wind out of your sails. I thought I was going to get a nap.
Smokes. So you did a little labor this weekend, huh? Working on that barn. Tell us about the barn.
Hey, the barn is almost done. It'll probably wrap up this week. My brother has been building a barn. I help him on the weekends. I'm just kind of like I'm the gopher for him. He knows what he's doing, but it is awesome. Like it's this big, heavy timber frame, like pole barn, but it's not even like a pole barn doesn't do it justice. It's like this. He's building like, you don't see barns like this. It's awesome. And so it's we're super excited. It'll be fun. We have a stall for the cows and, different things for us. We got a little porch going on that we're going to be sitting up there at the view. So you got to come see it.
I know.
You keep threatening to come up and check it out. But,
I know. Gosh, I have been so dang busy, but I'm going to get up there and see it. I can't wait for it to be done and you've shown me pictures and it looks amazing. It's bigger than you originally thought. Right?
Yeah. We built it. Well, and it's just heavy, right? I mean, every post is just massive. And so it's cool. Like, that's what I love about it. Like, my brother, he builds like this, like massive, like timber frame stuff.
Right.
And so it's awesome. I'm excited. He's done a good job.
The best thing is, I know you have some of the challenges in building through the winter,
right?
With the weather and the snow and the muck and all that stuff. But it'll be nice to have it done this spring, so you can enjoy it all year and all summer and so forth. Yeah,
we're excited.
And give places for those cows to get out of the sun and the wind and
we got
rain. And
we got they're gonna be like treated real well. They're gonna have they just went a huge upgrade in their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll when it's finished, we'll do another episode. Maybe show some pictures.
We need to get Jake up there, get some pictures and videos, and post them of the old barn going up.
Let's do it. All right. All right. A couple things going on in our world. That LeBron versus Stephen Smith.
Stephen A. Hold. Yeah, a little
kind
courtside.
of a little courtside after the game. LeBron came over and gave him a little whip lashing there. And then I don't know, back and forth. I guess I don't really, obviously wasn't there, but they said, hey, kind of leave my son out of this. Don't talk about him. And Stephen A. Smith kind of responded and said, I get it. I respect LeBron from a father's perspective because he's sticking up for his son, which any father would do. Yeah. I get that. I guess I'm a little kind of like, okay, I see that from a father's perspective, but your son's all in the NBA, so he's going to get the same treatment as every other NBA. If you suck, if you're not playing well, I mean they don't hold back on anybody else. So I'm kind of like you can't get it both ways, LeBron. Like, come on. Right. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not major fans of either one of those guys. So kind of just the outside looking in. I'm not a huge fan of the NBA, so I didn't watch it. Pulled it up. You were talking about it in the office this morning. It's. I get where LeBron's at as a dad. Yeah. Like, I think that parents just naturally get defensive of their kids, right? And I think that, LeBron, I mean, he's a phenomenal basketball player. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's, arguably one of the best ever. Like, but I always have he's like a distant third in my opinion to Jordan and Kobe, and then you got LeBron in the conversation. But all that being said, I think sometimes it's hard to separate, like, hey, listen, we're in this world. I think that sometimes as fans, we're like, well, that's what you signed up for. That's what you get paid for and everything else. But that's still hard to separate, right? I do get that it's still, whatever you say you're signing up for, it's still hard when you just want to go in and protect your kids, right? You naturally want to do that. And I think it was probably one of those moments from what I've heard. Stephen A., I don't always agree on his take, but that's his job, is to talk about sports and talk about players and talk about their progression and everything else. And so, I don't know what Stephen A. said about Bronny, but, Bronny's he's not his dad, right? He's not a top player in the NBA. And I don't think he has the potential to be a top player in the NBA. And I think if somebody says that, if you're looking at it from a basketball point of view, LeBron's probably like, yeah, probably true. But if you're looking at it from the dad point of view, which I think he probably was, he's like, don't talk about my kid. Don't bring my kid into this conversation, right? Just naturally, like his father instincts wanting him to protect. I respect that too. It is what it is. I think that I think you can make an argument. I think LeBron's a baby. Like I don't like watching him play. I think he's one of the biggest babies on the basketball court. But in this type of a conversation, I kind of get it as a parent. You kind of want to protect your kids.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
Tax refund season's coming up.
Yes.
That's part of a lot of people's strategy from a short-term rental perspective.
Right.
If they get what are they going to do with that money? Some pay, some get a refund. If you're lucky enough, and the way you've set it up, if you get a refund, it's not a bad way to use your tax refund into investing in short-term rentals, whether that's design or custom artwork or photos or upping the experience of your property, but also using some of that as a down payment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so, lots of ways to use it. If you're in the acquisition mode, putting it toward the funding and the purchase and the acquisition of a property. If you've got a property, a lot of the things we always hear is, hey, what, maybe I'll go buy a hot tub. What amenities should I use this money for? That's a common thing. And we always look at it from 2 points of view: is, okay, how can we upgrade the guest experience? And if we can, great, maybe we invest in that. But the flip side of that is, how are we articulating what we have already? Right. And this is where a lot of people try to skimp, and they don't do a very good job of spending the money appropriately, is really the marketing assets, articulating that great experience, articulating what you already have. And a lot of times we tell somebody, hey, listen, I think you should take that money and go do, an entire new marketing campaign for this property because you've already got a good property. You've already got a good experience. Let's go do a better job of articulating it so we can get our unfair share of business. So the people say, I want that property above and beyond everybody else's, right? In marketing these properties, we have to attract customers. We've got to convert customers. And we've got to retain them. The first two happen to be very, a lot of that has to do with the marketing assets that you have. And so if you're getting a tax refund and you've got a property and you're thinking, how can I upgrade this? I always start there. I always say, okay, what do we have? And most of the time they have good properties with a pretty good experience. They're just not articulating it very well. And that is way more than just a new photo shoot. They don't understand. This is where people get lost is, it's very difficult to explain how to go do that. And what you hear all the time is, you've got to be able to have great photos and you got to be able to do we talk about lifestyle photos and everything else, which is true, but you don't, very, very few people are really good marketers and being able to articulate experiences. In our world, people are good of articulating a property, articulating the features of a property. They're not good at articulating the experience the guest is going to enjoy by staying in that property. And that's where it comes. And most of the time I say, invest there. And it's a hard pill for some people to swallow because you're talking about, several $1,000s to do something like that, right, just to re-up your marketing game. And a lot of people don't want to do it, which is why I think that those that do have a really big head start in separating themselves from the pack.
Well, and I think it's this year the refund went up a little bit, like 7% or so. So
yeah,
it's about $3,500. So yeah, you can use that to
that makes a big dent in your marketing,
amenity or marketing or yep, things like that. So yeah, absolutely, that's awesome. All right, there's some cool stuff in the VRBO world that has come out. Some big advertising. San Francisco, big billboard came out and it said, hey, this is Airbnb's hotter, cooler, friendlier, long-lasting twin that never have hosts.
Yeah.
So make it VRBO. So VRBO and Airbnb kind of going at each other a little bit. Mm-hmm. VRBO is attacking them, which I think is great. They're trying to get, more market share and they're kind of hitting on, hey, listen, we don't have the hosts in those rooms, the room for rent that Airbnb does. So, right, hey, you're going to rent a property in grandma's house. Yeah. Grandma might be hanging out with you. VRBO saying, hey, we're hotter, cooler, friendlier. Don't do so.
Yeah, right across from. Right. I like that they've been running down that marketing angle for a little while, right? And they've. It's kind of fun that they put it right across the street from Airbnb's headquarters in San Francisco, which is, competition's great. And it's fun when you got like kind of competitors kind of going at each other, trying to figure out what your unique selling proposition is. Airbnb allows hosts to be on site at properties. Not every Airbnb, that's not the case, but because they allow that, VRBO is saying, hey, listen, you never have to deal with a host. Like I love those commercials with Saban coming in and when they're checking in and they're,
that's awesome.
So they've been leaning into that message for a while, which I love it. I think it's great. And I think that, good, healthy competition is a good thing. And I think that it's fun to see those marketing campaigns. It's funny that they pulled out those big billboards. That's expensive billboard space, right? And, in San Francisco, right there in Silicon Valley, right across from Airbnb's headquarters. And so I think it's fun. I think it's fun to watch.
Good.
I think
good
they've
competition.
got. I think they've got a good marketing department. VRBO specifically, I love that I think they're a lot of those commercials are pretty fun.
Yeah, they also just came out with kind of a 2025 guide for vacation planning, which I think it's kind of interesting. There, if you get a chance, you can go on there and check out their guide for the year. It gives you a lot of tips about when to book, how to book, the holidays issues. How soon do you need to book, and what are the things to look at. Tips on beating the rush and stuff like. I mean, there's a lot of really good things in there.
Yeah, it's good. It's a couple things that and it's breaking down different times of the year, spring breaks, the major the major holidays, summer holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, winter breaks, all those things. It's interesting, and it talks about when you can slow play and book last minute and receive discounts, and when you shouldn't. It's like, hey, some of these major holidays they're booking farther in advance, and you're going to get the best deals by booking further in advance as a traveler, and because as a host, obviously obviously when there's less inventory and there's less competition, you have the opportunity to hold your prices during those peak seasons and or raise them. And so as a guest, if you're waiting to see, one, you've got slim pickings on inventory. The best properties a lot of times are already booked, but also you're probably going to pay more if you're waiting last minute during those peak seasons. But then it's saying, hey, listen, by the way, these other times of the year, you can wait last minute, hold out. You're going to have more choices. You don't have to book so far in advance. There's going to be further discounts. A lot of these properties, because inventory, it's always a supply and demand issue as a host. And if there's a whole bunch of properties on the market and we're a week or two out and nobody's booking, a lot of hosts drop their prices. And as a guest, as a traveler, and that's what this article is for, is saying, travelers, how do you navigate peak seasons, off seasons, save the most amount of money, get the best choices, find the best properties. So it's a really good article.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of good tips.
Talks about October being maybe one of the best time of years for discounts and save money and stuff like that. So if you're thinking about, if you don't have kids or schedule conflicts and things like that. So So one of the other things that I thought was interesting is it talks about the increase in travel spending for this year versus last year.
That's this article. It's a different article though. Right? But yeah, so this is actually really interesting. This article that's pulling up the 2025 travel trends. Yeah, and compared to the travel trends in 2024, and just as a kind of a recap of 2024, specifically in hospitality in the short-term rental space, more money has been spent by the consumers on short-term rental accommodations. And 2025, the average travel budget, it says more than half, 56% of Americans plan to travel more in 2025 than 2024. Yep. And 2024 had more on AAA, said there was by millions of miles traveled by consumers in the U.S. 2024 hit record highs as far as travelers driving to destinations and going doing this. It makes sense. Short-term rentals, a lot of these destinations are drive-to destinations, and people are using them. So 119 million people projected to travel 50 miles or more during the year-end holiday period. They went all kinds of records on money spent, travel, and they're saying that 56% are planning on more. The interesting thing is the budget.
Driving. I know.
Right?
Can you believe that? So let's just think of this. In 2024, an average vacation was $5,300.
Yeah.
In 2025, they're projecting 10,000.
244. That's budgeting. That's the American consumer saying they're budgeting
for their trip.
Over 10 grand for the trip instead of last year. The same thing was average budget was $5,300.
That's expensive. That's crazy. Huh?
Well, and I don't know I don't think that you're going to see necessarily the money being spent double, but that's pretty nuts. That more than half the people are planning on traveling more. And the average budget has doubled. So it'll be very, very interesting to see.
Well, that's interesting. More than a quarter will be taking 7-day vacation. Okay. 21% will be going away for less than a week. 35% will be gone for 10 to 21 days.
Wow.
And 17% will travel for more than a month. Okay.
That's so longer stays. Wow.
What about work? What about jobs?
Whoa. I thought remote work was coming to a halt. Hey, I thought everybody had to go to the office.
You know what I've thought about?
Well, there's a lot of federal workers that are going to be on extended vacation.
I made this comment the other day when I was driving in the car with Kelly. I really threw her off. She didn't know where I was coming with this, but I said, Kel, I think I need to look for a job with a woke company.
Yeah.
And she looked at me like, what? And I'm like, they don't really work that much.
Right.
They get a lot of days off. Any day that's even kind of a holiday,
it's off.
They get off.
Yeah. You got emotional support days.
Yeah, you got all kinds of time off. I said,
you're saying I don't give that around here?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that either.
Right, okay. So Wyatt, I should probably say this.
Because today, by the way, is a Monday. We're shooting this one early.
Yeah.
It is a holiday. It's I think it's Employee Appreciation Day today. And we're working. So, I'm just saying, I don't know. I think the woke company's taking today off. Yeah. So I don't know. I think we got to.
Just saying.
We need to talk. We'll probably when you're at lunch today.
You should put that in the suggestion box out by the front door.
Okay, I will.
See where it goes.
Yeah. The suggestion box of Odyssey's outside of the door.
It's in my office, right next to my desk, and it looks like a trash can.
Exactly. Oh shoot! All right, I don't even know where we were because we were spending $10,000 on our vacations.
Let's go to we're talking about money being spent, and all of a sudden we're talking about vacations, and you're like on vacation.
I know.
Already.
I was on vacation. It's hard to come back to work, but anyways,
hey, let's come back to work.
That is interesting though. A lot of money spent, But when you have a family of 5, it's expensive to take them to anywhere. Yeah. So you're going to go with food and with, travel and excursions and events and stuff. So it's good. That's good for short-term rentals and, our world,
the hospitality world. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to spend more money in that segment.
It's interesting. I mean, I'd love to see the stats at the end of the year. I mean, that's a steep increase on budgets. Yeah. I know my travel budget didn't increase by double this year. Yours in your head already has.
I know. I'm gonna.
You've already been gone.
Yeah.
You're on that. You're on that 17% that wants to take a month or more at a time.
That's the number that really stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Is I got excited about that. All right. Next up,
moving on.
So bonus depreciation. With Trump in the office now. I think this is a big thing. A lot of folks in our world were really hoping would come back, and they're talking it's coming back. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, and I hope. And he said it's going to be retroactive to when he took office on January 20th, which is huge. So any of those investors that bought properties January 20th or beyond, you're going to be able to have 100% bonus depreciation coming back. They're going to reenact and try to make permanent the 2017 Tax Cut Jobs Act, and that's where that is all in there. Talks about the corporate taxes, all those different things. Specifically bonus depreciation. A lot of investors who have bought property, they understand how powerful this is. Those investors that don't, there's a reason why investors say depreciation is the 8th wonder of the world, right? Because it makes a huge difference on the acceleration of your wealth building process. And if you get 100% bonus depreciation in our world of short-term rentals, that makes a big difference because there's a short-term rental loophole. And the reason it's a short-term rental loophole is because in order to be able to qualify for most of the time to do bonus depreciation, you have to be a real estate professional. And that means your job has to be real estate related. You can't do something else. So if you're working a W-2 or have a full-time job and you're investing in real estate, you can still depreciate a property. You just can't bonus depreciate, which means you're accelerating all that depreciation, 100% of it in the first year. What that does is it's a major write-off and a huge tax savings. And so, for example, I had a property that I bought last time it was at 100%, which was in 2022. And bought this property, paid $800,000 for it. We ended up doing a full cost segregation on it. The engineered cost segregation study comes back, and what that means is a cost seg expert goes in and says, okay, there's this much lumber in this property, there's this much tile, there's this much carpet, there's this much hardware, there's this much roofing, there's this much framing material, all this electrical. They break down all these depreciable materials in a property, and they say, okay, based on this $800,000 purchase, you've got $245,000. It was about $244 and change on this specific property that you get as a write-off. And when I can bonus depreciate it and take all that over 1 year, I get a write-off $245,000 against my active income. Well, in most people's cases, you can essentially buy a property and pay if you're making $250,000 or less, or $244,000 or less, you have zero tax to pay, federal tax, because you're writing off. You have a write-off of that. In that instance, at a 39% tax bracket, you're saving that property. Buying that property saved me $95,000 in taxes. So what happens is I put $165,000 down on this property, or $160,000 down, and then because I put 20% down on it, I get that write-off. I pay $95,000 less in taxes. So my net into the property is only $65,000. What that allows the average investor to do is say, I had the 165, I only put 65 in. Now I've got this chunk of money that I can go buy another property. I could do it again. And so you're essentially being able to use that depreciation to continue to accelerate and build your portfolio. And so this is huge for real estate investors. It obviously applies to a lot of different equipment purchases and all different kinds of, there's other things that you can depreciate. It's why a lot of businesses buy airplanes, right? You can depreciate. If you can get 100% bonus depreciation on an airplane, you're essentially getting a 30% discount, 35% discount, whatever your tax bracket is, on anything you purchase that you're able able to do this. Now, you have to recapture that if you ever sell a property. So you don't want to do this on like flip properties or anything else. You want to do this for more long-term assets, because if I did that, I bought that property, I bonus depreciated, I took that write-off, and then I sold that property next year, I'd have to recapture or reapply that $95,000 that I didn't pay in taxes. And so you're going to have to make sure that you apply this correctly and understand this process. But it's a huge deal for investors, and specifically short-term rental investors, because of that loophole, it allows average investors, W-2 employees who don't qualify as real estate professionals, it allows them to qualify as a material participant in those properties and take 100% bonus depreciation. So we won't get into all the details.
No, that's really good details. And I think the question is that the real estate professional, a lot of people don't think
they confuse it. A lot of people really confuse it.
That's really good.
We hear and talk to people all the time, and they say, "Well, I talked to my CPA, and they said that I don't qualify for this because I'm not a real estate professional." They're confusing two different things that sound similar, but they're really not. And that is normally the case if you go buy an apartment complex or a long-term rental or a mid-term rental that has an average lease length of longer than 7 days. It's not going to qualify for this unless you're a real estate professional. And so that's why short-term rentals are so powerful for average investors, high W-2 income earners that can still materially participate in these properties, but they don't have to be real estate professionals.
Nice. Good explanation. So, all right, last one. What are your thoughts on, the big question is especially when somebody launches a property, but also when you have a property that's been in, but the minimum night stay, you have some people like, oh, and I know we've talked about this before, but it's just come up recently in a question that somebody emailed to us is, do we do 1 night minimum stays? Do we do 2? What is your suggestion? What do you like the best?
I like 2 nights across the board. Okay. And, I get a lot of pushback on this. And so you can do your own strategy. I've been doing this for a long time. I've tested a lot of different minimum night stays. I don't like 1 night stays. That's going to tend to lead to more a possibility of more like a party or just somebody renting it for an event, right? And so, but I like 2 night stays because of the flexibility it allows the consumer to come in, right? The more flexibility you can offer a consumer, the better you will have at converting them, right? When we're in marketing a property, when we're selling anything, I got to attract the customer, then I've got to convert that customer. Anything I can do to convert that customer, flexibility is a big thing on conversion. And so if I'm saying, hey, listen, I'll allow you to book 2 nights and then you can self-select beyond that, right? And I have tested it over and over on my entire portfolio on, hundreds of our Odyssey member portfolios of saying, hey, listen, because a lot of management companies say, oh, no, you should do at least a 3-night minimum. Or in the peak season, we do a 5-night minimum or 7-night minimum. I'm not a huge fan of that because what we have found is the market will self-select longer stays anyways during those peak periods. And so by allowing that flexibility, we end up giving the consumer an extra reason to book. If me and you have really nice properties next door to each other and you're requiring a 5-day stay or a 3-night stay or a 4-night stay and I'm offering a 2-night stay and my guests can check in and check out when they want to check in and check out, they're going to be more attracted to that. And I'm going to have a higher likelihood of converting. And so I like shorter stays. I like the flexibility it offers a guest. If you have large properties, a large group is not going to book a 2-night stay most likely anyways, right? And so the market is going to self-select a longer stay. And we have found that our stays are going to be at or above and usually they're above the average night stays in the area. So if an area averages 4-night stays, right? 4.3 or whatever else. Offering 2-night stays does not mean your average is going to be at 2. It's going to the market will still self-select at that 4.3 or above, even just be given more flexibility. Occasionally, do you book a weekend that is 2 nights and it's a holiday weekend and you're like, man, we could have got 3 nights there. Yeah, sometimes that happens. But when you compare it for the whole year, you're going to get more nights booked, in my opinion. And I've tested it on our portfolio and our Odyssey family portfolios over and over and over again. And sometimes when a property is struggling, it's one of the first changes that we make. And a lot of people, a lot of management companies, especially property managers that we work with, they don't like that. They don't, they'll push back and say that's not what we do here. And we respectfully ask them to, it's our property, we're the investor, let's try it. And it usually makes us more money, which in turn makes them more money, which is good. But one night stays I wouldn't do. You have a tendency with one night stays to book an event or a party or something like that, and we want to try to avoid that a little bit.
Good. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Good job. I appreciate the insights and good back and forth. Yeah.
Can we? I mean, it's only noon. I mean,
well, I was going to
taking
say,
a vacation the rest of the day.
For those of you
going to be here,
if you have any questions or want us to discuss anything, send it in to support Vodacy. Also, if you know any woke companies that are hiring, send that in to me as well. Attention, Dave.
Hey, those are the woke companies are kind of a dying breed. You know, a lot of that stuff's going away.
I know I got to jump on it quick. So email them in, please.
they're usually not hiring right now. They're trimming down because that didn't work.
It might not be a long lasting thing, but you know.
At least
I might be on vacation.
At least you got some good vacation days.
Might be on vacation for a while.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. We know how valuable your time is. We appreciate you spending it with us. As always, if you got any value out of the show and you know somebody else would like to be part of these conversations, share the show. And if you have more than 30 seconds, like it or review it on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And the final, most important thing I ask you at the end of every episode is pick that one thing you can do today to start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.